Happy Easter, and welcome back to Trinity Place this Easter day. Happy Easter. Welcome to Trinity Place in Geneva, New York. My name is Cameron Miller. This is a sermon for Easter Day. This is from For Beginnings by Denise Levertov, actually a paraphrasing of a part. From too much love of living, even the weariest river winds somewhere to the sea. But we have only begun to love. We have only begun to imagine. How could we tire of hope? So much is in bud. So much is unfolding that must complete its gesture. So much is in bud. As is appropriate for Easter Day, this is a short sermon because honestly, how much can one say about resurrection? Once, sometime as the earth was forming and I was in seminary, I was marooned in the Detroit airport on my way someplace. I don't even remember anything about the trip other than this one encounter. I was killing time at a little bar-sized table in a bar when a Christian came up and started talking to me. And you know what I mean by when I say Christian. I'm a Christian, but not that kind. Anyway, he wanted me to meet Jesus, and I told him I already had, and I was in seminary. And as it turns out, he was in seminary too, but definitely not the kind of seminary that I was going to. He was pressing me to see if I knew the right Jesus. In those days, I was a lot more interested in debating such things, and I was a lot more polite, if you can imagine that. His final argument rested on the question, well, now, if you had a television camera at the tomb on Easter morning, would you see the bodily Jesus raised from the dead? Knowing he had a right answer in mind and that he expected me to give him the wrong answer, I said, it wouldn't matter. What do you mean it wouldn't matter? He was incredulous. Because I said, even if you captured the resurrection on camera, some people would believe it, some people wouldn't. And honestly, I didn't know how true that was until this era of fake news that some people believe and others don't, of climate change that most people now accept but that millions still don't, of a guilt or innocence beyond a reasonable doubt that will be argued in the public square until we shout the life right out of each other. Easter morning, Easter Day, the celebration of Easter, is not a moment to ask one another what we believe. It doesn't matter what we believe about Jesus or what we believe from Matthew's story or what we believe is true or false. It matters what we know. And whether we know, we have only begun to love. That we have only begun to imagine. That hope is not something we can tire of because so much is in bud. So much is unfolding that must complete its gesture. So much is in bud. Here's what I know, and I'm guessing you know it too. Whether you're 97 or 65 or 40, so much is in bud. Whether you are vigorous or hindered or struggling or dying, so much is in bud. The life God gave us has to breathe to live, and that same life must love. Love is our breath. It's our breath upon the ember that empowers us at whatever age or condition or strength or limitation to see hope in bud. There are times for all of us when we feel shrouded by hopelessness. They tend to be times when what we wanted and what we thought that we thought should happen and what we expected disintegrated before our eyes. But hope lives out beyond self-interest, which is where we must look to see it in bud or even blooming. Heck, hope can bloom right in front of our faces, and we can still see it only as potential allergies. But it can also appear in the slightest bud, peeking up from the mulch or at the end of a brown twig. And we see it, and then we shout for joy. The question on Easter Day is not what we believe, but what we know. And if we have allowed ourselves to keep loving, and so keep knowing hope. They're connected, love and hope. One does not live without the other, and so we must keep loving and keep hoping so long as we breathe. Have we allowed ourselves to be vulnerable to hope? Have we allowed ourselves to risk loving? Have we allowed ourselves to feed the life within us with love? Even new love, even more love, even at the moments of our greatest limitations and expected endings, to love one more time, one more person, one more way. That is when hope is in bud. I don't know about the resurrection, because I wasn't there. But I know about resurrection, and it is even clearer than climate change that we live in a resurrection universe, an entire cosmos composed of intricate, interdependent relationships in which no energy is ever lost, but rather transformed. No love once truly loved is ever lost, only transformed. No hope once known in its truest form is ever lost, only transformed. We live in a resurrection universe, whether we believe it or not. The question for us is whether we can see it in bud or even blooming. Happy Easter, and peace be with you.